Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who are watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Let me know you are here. Please be sure to comment. I am always happy when I get interaction. It does get a little bit lonely on this side of the screen, so I love your interaction. But today I'm actually not lonely. I have a guest joining me. Before I get to that, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Knight, for those of you who don't know me. I am the CEO and founder of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps childcare owners maintain high quality standards while turning a profit. I teach you how to be business people, basically. I help you to learn your center in just a systemized way, just how to run it and how to have a good, healthy center. So I help you with your staffing, with everything. I'm also a childcare center owner. That's what makes me different. I was asked the other day, there's a lot of consultants out there. What makes you so different? Well, I have a center. I've been a director. I've been a teacher. I've been a cook. I've been a driver. I'm in my center at least a few times a week. So I know what you guys are going through. I live it, breathe it, just like you. And I also have a lot of business knowledge. So that's what makes me very different. So let me get to my guest today because I'm really excited. Today I am joined by Prerna Richards, who is actually joining my team at Childcare Business Professionals. I'm super excited. She's coming on as a coach for behavior issues. So if you're struggling with children's behaviors in the classroom, that is her specialty. She has a lot of specialties. So I'm going to bring Prerna on and let her introduce herself. Hi, Prerna, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Evelyn. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to join you on this platform. Yes, so a little bit about me. I am the founder and CEO of Together We Grow. Together We Grow is an organization that provides professional development, consulting, and coaching for teachers and parents. And like Evelyn was saying, I think my secret sauce or my passion area is behaviors, social emotional intelligence, mental well-being, and how that all shows up in our classrooms, in our schools, in our programs, in our staff. I've done a lot of work with trauma-informed care. I've done a lot of work with social emotional learning, play-based learning. I've also been a director, consultant, been in the field for 30 plus years. I stopped counting. It's whatever. I'm still excited. That's what counts.
Right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you can say, I love my job, it's all worth it.
Yes. No, and I totally agree. Just when you can say that, it is so worth it. And I too have stopped counting at this point. You know, we've talked about that before, where it's just kind of like when people ask you, how long have you been, like, you're just,
yeah,
how long have I been doing this?
It's sometimes nice to pause, but I think it's also nice to just know it's 35 plus and leave it at that.
I agree, right? I agree. Yes. We don't want to date ourselves. So go ahead. If you're watching today, go ahead and give StreamYard permission so we can see your comments. I can see that we have comments coming in, but I can't see who they're from. So we're being told good morning, and I have a "You are amazing," Prerna. That's awesome. So
that's sweet.
Yes.
That's always very welcome when you know there's somebody watching and talking and interacting. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
So this morning, I want to talk a little bit about just where we came together. So I interviewed Prerna for my podcast, which the episode of the podcast will be coming out tomorrow. But we talked and did an amazing interview on the podcast, and we found that we are so well aligned in our philosophies and our beliefs and our passion for the ECE world and what we're out to do. Like, we are both on a mission. And that's when I talked to her about joining my team and coming on as a consultant. So basically what we have planned, which is kind of exciting, is Prerna is going to be one of my coaches. So for my members, if you're struggling, she's going to be teaching once a month. She's going to be doing some kind of training for my members on dealing with problem behaviors in the classroom. And that is a huge subject area. I mean, that comes, we were talking about how that's environment. Like, how is your classroom set up? How are your teachers talking to the children? Do you set up expectations for the children? There's so much that goes into that. So that's when I told her, like, you need to come be a trainer for my group. This is amazing.
I'm so excited about that.
I am so excited too to have you on board. Yes, it's going to be awesome for my members. And then she's also going to be helping with coaching. So for my members, if you guys are struggling with behaviors in the classroom, with a teacher not knowing how to handle children, she is going to be doing the monthly coaching calls also. So I'm so excited to have you on board. So let's talk a little bit about, for my audience on Facebook here.
Consulting for your NACE accreditation, which
yes.
is huge, which I'm so excited about.
Yes, so that's the other thing. I also hired Prerna to consult for my childcare center. My childcare center just received our quality rating. We have qualified to be a 5-star center.
That is so awesome.
I know, it's so exciting, right? Through the Nevada Silver State Stars, which is our QRIS program. But in Nevada, they don't give you the 5th star unless you have a NACE accreditation. So right now, until we get that accreditation, we're only a 4-star. So I decided we're going to get it. I'm going to get that 5th star.
You know, we don't even have a 5th star, so you're already ahead of the game there. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. And I've seen your classrooms. You have an amazing environment.
Thank you.
ECE is just coming. It's just get ready for celebration for you guys.
Right. Yes. Yes. So Prerna is now our NACE consultant for my childcare center. So we're going to be working a lot together between this company, my other company, and my podcast. It's kind of exciting. So, oh, hi, Alana. Alana's on. Oh, Alana said you're amazing.
Oh, yay. I love Alana too. Alana, you're amazing too. We make a good pair together. I love it. I love her energy. I love her enthusiasm, and her, follow through is awesome. I love working with her.
And her passion. I think some of what you and I talk about a lot is in this field, we need passion. And there are so many owners and directors out there who are passionate, but they just need that extra help. And they want to do what's absolutely best for the children, but they just don't know what it is. There's a huge knowledge gap. And I told you a little bit about my history where my background is in neurological psychology. And that's why I actually went back to school to get the degree, was in order to I saw that gap where what's going on with behaviors? Why aren't we doing what's right for the children?
Yeah.
So that's,
yeah, the disconnect is, I've seen it evident too. And, that leads to the staff turnover. That leads to your bottom line, and the two are connected. So in our field, generally we have a staff turnover, the revolving door. But if you can create an environment where the staff's needs are met, they're more likely to stick with you. That's like the secret that people are not tapping into, I feel.
Right. I totally 100% agree with you, is that there's a disconnect on where is a child's brain at this point? Where are they developmentally? And I say it a lot, but the United States is currently 33rd in the world when it comes to education. And honestly, we have the resources. We should be number 1. But the problem is that we're so commercialized, and what sells isn't what's best for the children. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the nations like Finland, that is number 1.
That's right.
They put social and emotional first and foremost from birth till age 6, and their children way outperform ours.
Yes.
I mean, when you're looking at high school level, their statistics, they are way outperforming ours.
Yes.
And it's really because we don't understand how important developmentally appropriate practices are,
right,
and that social emotional component from 0 to 5.
You know what I would add to that, Evelyn, is yes, Finland is doing a good job, but if you're part of the QRS system, if you're part of the NACE system, then you are in that realm and you're aware and you're doing things intentionally. So I've seen amazing things happen in individual schools here and there, dotted around. And so, yes, that puts us at 33, in the world, which is sad. But it's encouraging to know that we have systems in place. If we can adopt them, there's a roadmap and it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Yes. Yes. And I totally agree with you. I think for us, we are lucky being in the early childhood space, because honestly, our quality is better than the K through 12. We are already on that developmentally appropriate trajectory. We're already looking at brain development, whereas the K through 12 system hasn't caught up to us there yet. So that is where we are blessed to be in the ECE space. But like you and I were discussing, there's still a lot of owners and directors out there who do not understand and know what does it mean. And when I talk about quality and why is it so important, why is that at the forefront of my life mission, it's because it's what's best for the children.
Right. It matters. With 90% of the brain that's getting wired, birth to 5, how can we not take advantage of all aspects of this brain development space, right? We have a chance to impact somebody's brain for the rest of their life.
Yes.
Think about it. No upgrade to the brain, no swap your brain, no, a new phone has come up, so I can change it to the new model. There's nothing like that. And if we don't recognize the importance of these years, how children learn and how they develop and what the brain does, behavior is a form of communication. Let's call it what it is. Behavior is a form of communication, whether it's from the adult or the child. If I'm acting out, I'm needing something. If I'm acting out, I'm needing relationship connections. I'm acting out because I need the attention, right? Attention-seeking behavior is a relationship-seeking need. Whether your teacher is acting out or your child is acting out in your school, they're telling you something.
Right, good point. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great point. The adults are no different than the children.
No different. And especially if you've hired somebody who's less than 26, that person's brain is not even fully developed yet. It's still getting developed. So nothing against younger people, but we have to recognize where their development is and show up with that emotional intelligence in our leadership approach and create environments that everybody can thrive, not barely survive, right?
Right.
Not
Absolutely.
the teacher, not just the children. We deserve it. We all deserve to work in places where thriving, and we all deserve to be recognized as individual, unique people.
Right. Yes. And like you were saying with turnover, that's a really good point. If you do have a high amount of turnover, if you're seeing behavior issues in your classroom, it's not the children, you guys. I hear it all the time from people where they're just like, oh, I have this really rough set of kids, or it's not the children. 90% of a child's behavior is the adult, not the child.
So I think this is a good time that we can unpack it and we can talk about a leader's role in what all to consider if you're having behaviors. So it's, maybe that's a good place to spend some energy in, like, is your schedule off? Are you doing too many transitions? Are you not letting children soak in the learning and the exploration and the experiencing because your schedule is very tight? So that's something to consider. Well, before we dive into what you could do, I think if anybody's watching, if you're having incident and accident reports coming in constantly in your office, you need to pause. You need to pause. There's something going on and look for patterns. Is it one particular classroom? Is it one particular teacher? Is it the time of the day? Like, what is this telling you, these forms that are coming into your office, right?
Yes.
So
Prerna, we lost your sound.
Am I back now?
Yes, you're back now. Yes.
But I think the video is the video. There we go. I don't know. The phone call came and I had to stop it. I'm on the phone.
Oh. Right. Yes, I that happens to me a lot. So don't even worry about it.
Well, this is live. This is real.
Exactly. It's real life.
It happens. Yeah. And I think your point is valid that, it's not the children, and you have to look deeper and you have to take a pause and you have to reflect. And if you're a teacher, you need to pause. If you're a leader, you need to pause. If you're a director, you need to pause. So if you're having accident reports, even if it's 1 a week, 2 a week, look deeper. Where is this coming from? Unpack it. Schedule is a big deal. I've noticed quite often that our schedules are very tight. We have 30 minutes for center time, exploration time, 20 minutes outside. Children don't learn like that. They need to soak in the time to explore. It could be, it could be your environment. It's maybe too crowded or not enough. The shelves may be empty or too much stuff. This is where the individual coaching comes in, because a fresh pair of eyes can come in and say, okay, try doing this or thinking about this, just to bounce off ideas, right? And then definitely your curriculum. Is it
Yes.
developmentally appropriate? Is it hands-on? Is it play-based? Is it too much sit down and fill in ditto sheets? I'm aging myself and I call them ditto
I
sheets.
know. Me too. Yes. Yes.
I don't know what they're called. The copies that we waste a lot
Photocopy sheet. Yeah.
that we're killing the forest for. That's not
Yeah.
even going to help
Yeah.
the brain. It's not engaging. But also, I think more than any of this, we need to recognize the stress. So we are still in the pandemic. I cannot believe we're still saying this a year later,
Wow.
right? And if people are in stress, are they in their survival brain? Is the adult in the classroom in their survival brain? How is the adult showing up? Uh,
Right.
Even the director, are you nurturing yourself? Are you under stress? You know?
Yep.
And it's okay to say, yes, this is hard. It's okay to say, this is rough. And then it goes back to mindset. I think we can have a whole session on mindset because
Absolutely.
there's so much at play. But at the heart of it, I think a lot of people, I don't know, maybe you've come across this, but a lot of people, when I tell them I focus on social emotional, their reaction is, oh, we're fine socially, emotionally. It's the cognitive we want. It's the curriculum we want. It's the business we want.
Yeah.
It's the we want. But I look at social emotional as the foundation, and then there's a bridge. And on the other side of the bridge is the learning and successful business running or whatever is the, but you got to have something to stand on so you can cross the bridge so you can be successful. Social emotional is not just touchy feely. Social emotional is not just talking about your feelings. Social emotional is understanding, being self aware,
Yes.
my reactions, my responses, my feelings, but also social aware, right?
Right.
How my bias is showing up, how are my triggers showing up. There's so much to unpack. It's so exciting, this field.
Yes, and what the way I explain it, and we talked about how for my center, I have a 6-month long onboarding process. 30 days is very intense. And part of the reason I do that is because when I hire people from other centers, they don't get that, what you're talking about right now. So one of the first things I explain to them is that if you look at where the brain is, right? Humans are born as a blank slate. Children do not know what a social norm is, what is a appropriate behavior, what is it, right? They're learning it as we go. So when a toddler hits or bites, they don't understand that there's anything wrong with that. It is our job to teach it. So the part of the brain that is being wired during those first few years is the social emotional part, not the reading, not the language, learning language, yes, but social emotional. So that's why it's so important for us to teach it as a curriculum. That should be the main component in your curriculum because that is what their brain is trying to learn how to be. So the 7 main brain, executive functions that happen in our brain that you need in order to maintain a job, to get along with others, just to make it through life, happen in those first 5 years. Yep. So that's why this is all so important.
And you raised a good point that when a toddler hits and bites and kicks, we are so happy to teach numbers, colors, shapes.
Yeah.
When it comes to talking about emotions, labeling feelings, addressing hard emotions like anger and frustration and embarrassment and insecurity and anxiety, we shy away from it because we don't know how to bring it up.
Right.
I've heard people say, well, if they're missing their parents and I bring it up, they're going to miss them even more.
Right, yeah.
They're missing them regardless. Their behavior is telling you they're not happy, whether you mention it or not.
Right.
And at least if you can mention it, you can manage it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Well, I think a part of what we're dealing with too is a lot of our adults they don't have the emotional literacy. And so, yeah, and as you were saying, as a leader, we have this responsibility, unfortunately, where we have to make sure not only are our children emotionally literate, but the teachers are too.
But that makes so much sense. If we didn't get it in our childhood, if we didn't get it growing up, how can you give what you don't have?
Right. Yes.
To give from an empty cup. It doesn't make any sense. How are we going to bring them up emotionally intelligent if we don't understand emotionally intelligent and it was never done to us? And so a lot of people that I've met in trainings that I give, they will talk about, I'm embarrassed to say that, but I came from a dysfunctional home. I'm embarrassed to say that I had stress and trauma growing up. There's nothing to be embarrassed. If
Right.
you recognize it, you can get the help, you can go past it, none of us are
Yeah.
perfect. We
Right.
all have emotional baggage, but how we deal with it and how we show up in the world makes a difference. And in our field, it makes even a bigger difference because young brains are being molded.
Right.
So,
Right.
so creating an environment, I like to use them as three safe rules, right? So safe feelings, all feelings are safe in this building,
Hmm.
all bodies are safe in this building, and all materials are safe in this building. So more
Right.
than classroom management rules, let's think about, are my feelings safe if I express this makes me anxious? If I
Yeah.
express this makes me insecure? If I express I don't know what I'm doing, am I safe to be received with that? Am I creating an environment that's inclusive of who I am so I can be my best self and my unique individual self? Or do I have to blend with your culture just to fit in?
Right. Yes. Yes. One of the things I like to explain to my staff is just imagine you are an alien on a different planet, right? And everything is not familiar to you. You don't know how they eat, what their customs are. That's exactly what these children are going through. But we expect to just throw them in and they just need to figure it out on their own. And so that's just such a huge well, and one of the things that really opened my eyes to this was I actually hired a staff member from a different country who was pretty new and really had to teach her and explain to her the cultural differences. And she really I thought you just don't spank a child in a classroom. We know that, right? But in other cultures, that's not the same.
Yeah.
And there were some other things that we had talked about, and I can't think of it right now, but there were other things where she brought us some really good points where she was like, that doesn't make sense. Why do you guys do it this way here?
Yeah.
This is how I do it and how we do it, and I would think of like, you know what, that does make more sense. It is more developmentally appropriate, but we assume everybody knows our cultural norms, and children are born with no cultural norms. It's our job to teach them.
But also, I think what you just shared in this example was if there was a willingness to listen and learn and adapt and change, right? So we don't have it all figured out. But if we are willing and open to learning and listening, that, oh, is there a better way? Will this,
Yes.
even that sometimes is a starting point versus saying, we've always done it like this.
Right.
We've always
Exactly.
done it like this is such a fixed mindset. And, feeling like this is it. The other thing that comes with mindset, if you're talking about fixed mindset, that we've always done it like this, is the fear of change, right? So change is hard, and this past year we have been thrown into change every minute. Like change has become our middle name.
Yes.
Become
Yeah.
very straws with changing so much, but change is hard. And I think there's a really good way of looking at change. I don't know if you agree with this. Change can be an opportunity.
Mhm.
Change can be a challenge.
Yes.
It's all how we look at it.
Right.
So if we are only sitting in the space of change as a challenge and this is going to be so hard and I don't have the time and I can't do this, then it's not going to work because the
Right.
mindset is already decided that it's a challenge versus saying, okay, change is an opportunity. Maybe I haven't learned it yet. Maybe I haven't seen it yet. Maybe there's a better way. So going back to our behaviors in the classroom, if you have behaviors and you continue doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same results.
Right.
The only
Yes.
way to change that is to change what's happening. You do observations, unpack it, really pay attention to what the children are trying to tell us through their behaviors, chase the why, and then sitting in the wondering space and saying, okay, I wonder what I'm missing. I
Right.
wonder what I could do differently, right?
Right. Yep. And the other day I was reading a Facebook post and somebody was talking about a biter in the classroom. And one of the things that really shocked me and stood out to me, and I hear it, but I don't know why it shocks me all the time, that she put on there is no trigger. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
Right?
yeah.
For you and I, who we understand, like there is always a trigger. So when you brought up observations, that's something that's huge. Is your center doing observations, and what kind? I see centers doing just these anecdotal observations, but they're really not diving into the meat of things.
Yeah.
When we are having a struggle at my center, understanding what is specific, like when we have a challenging behavior with a child and we're having a really hard time trying to find what is the trigger. Our observation form is a 16-page document.
Whoa.
It is, but sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, very rarely. I have to say, in the 12 years I've owned my current center, we've only had to use it 3 times,
Wow.
but it works. And so that's what I want to challenge our viewers out there to really think about. When you have these challenging behaviors, there's always a skill or something the child is lacking. Is it some kind of nurturing they're lacking? One of my favorite things to tell my teachers is just remember, negative attention is better than no attention. So it's up to us to figure out, what is this child missing in their life? What are, is it a skill? Is it something we're not providing? Is there maybe a nutritional need? Is there something really going on here? Do we need to send them out for assessment? But
the other thing is what's happening at home. So all of the things that you mentioned are part of the child. The child is holistic, right? The child is not just standing in the air, just hanging by themselves, right? They absorb everything, as do the adults. And the adult is coming from a stressful place, or the child is coming from a stressful place. I remember going into a classroom where I was coaching, and this little 18-month-old was crying nonstop. And the teacher said to me, Prerna, don't you dare pick up this baby, because when you leave, I will have to pick up this baby the whole time. And so to respect the teacher, I sat down next to the 18-month-old and just very gently started whispering, you're safe. It's okay. I'm here. You're safe. And you could see the stress level coming down in this baby. And then, I would go every day because I was coaching in this classroom, and she bonded with me. And this 18-month-old had vocabulary that the teacher had never heard, because her excuse was she always cries. But she's crying for a reason.
Exactly. Let's get to the root of that's one of my biggest pet peeves too. So when I took over Zoo and Around, I purchased Zoo and Around from somebody else, and it was a mess. I mean, if you walked in, you would have seen like all the furniture was shoved up against the walls. There was, just runways everywhere. The colors on the walls, they were just like these bright yellows and reds, and so and I'm sorry for you guys out there. I know I see a lot of pictures of centers out there. You guys have these big, beautiful murals and bright colors. It's too much for the kids. It's terrible. So when there was this child, she was 3 years old, and they were telling me she can't speak. And I just was observing her like, that child can speak. And she had gone from birth to 3 at this center. So I finally one day just sat down with her at the table, started playing with her. It took me a couple mornings of sitting with her playing. Sure enough, one morning, this little girl just started talking. Perfect speech, nothing wrong. It's just nobody had taken that time to just sit and play with her.
And connect with her.
Exactly.
And build a relationship with her.
Yeah.
And it's all about that relationship. It's all about the relationship. I think we could do hours of talking the value of relationships and
absolutely
supporting relationships and create. Yeah, it's an amazing space. And I've seen amazing schools, and I've seen schools that are lacking in the basics, and it just makes your head spin like, why? You could do this. This doesn't cost money.
Exactly. It just takes education, which a lot of our colleagues do not have. And so that is why I brought you onto my team. I just, I've told you in my business, I do focus more on the business practices, and I focus more on like management, leadership, and because of my background, I do focus on a lot of mindset. But I thought, you know what? You're so awesome. We're perfectly aligned. So you'd be a perfect addition to my team. So for those of you watching, if anybody is interested in working with Prerna and I, now my membership includes both of us. So it's something totally new to my clients. And so my email is on the screen there. Reach out to me via email or messenger. I get lots of Facebook messages from you guys. So feel free to message me. I'm always available and here to help. I love this field, and this is where I'm giving back. And so, Prerna, I want to respect your time. Do you have any last thoughts?
I just want to say whoever's part of your membership is lucky to have you, because you are a brilliant business coach and brilliant business person. So anybody joining is only going to learn, and you have a very generous spirit of giving. So, join and learn. And I'm learning so much from you. I have, we met recently, but I feel like I'm friends with you forever.
Right. No, you're right. You and I just, for the first time, we just talked not too long, maybe a little over a month ago, but we just aligned so beautifully.
This was divine intervention, and I love divine intervention.
I totally 100% agree with you. Well, Thank you so much for taking your time out with me today, Prerna.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It was nice spending the morning with you, and I wish everybody a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you.